is. Okay, so I want to watch this video. This is from Moon again. This will be our last, like, this one won't be, like, super deep, but this is just kind of explaining 4chan. Because I think a lot of people don't understand what 4chan really was and is, and all, like, it's been through and all the stigma it's received. So, and 4chan has been a big deal and has changed a lot. It's weird because I don't care for that unless I've been with you for a while and developed a good enough connection. Then and it didn't make me uncomfortable. Exactly. That's what you want to find. That's what you need. That's healthy. You want to have morals, and you want to stick to those morals, guys. My biggest thing I'll tell you guys, my biggest piece of advice I can give to you guys is find your morals in life. Find what you want to stand for. Find what you want people to think. Find what kind of effect you want to have on people. What message you want to leave on people. What imprint you want to leave on people. And find those morals and stick to them. That's what's gonna make you happy. Having morals you can stand by and be proud of.
Whether you like it or not, we've always needed 4chan. We just didn't realize it.
Okay, that's a little much.
In 2003,
we didn't need 4chan.
A 15-year-old boy created a site called 4chan, where outcasts, weeboos, and autists would all drool over anime. Every day, the site would slowly expand.
Yeah, because 4chan was originally about anime. It was about anime and weeb shit.
With more and more outcasts coming together for more and more discussions. However, soon enough, these discussions radiated across the internet. 4chan became the breeding ground for a new wave of internet culture, memes, and ideas. Because of this, the voiceless outcasts were now the center stage of the internet. And with their newfound voice, they could get back at those who'd shunned them to the shadows. The media, celebrities, conglomerates, and governments. Until finally they got their revenge. Amen! Amen! But to understand how this happened, we have to start simple in order to understand the whole picture.
Pepe.
So we'll begin with this. His name is Pepe the Frog.
Guys, we love Pepe here.
Pepe the Frog first appeared in a 2005 comic called The Boy's Life. The comic depicts Pepe and his anthropomorphized animal friends behaving like a normal college bro. In one of these comics, Pepe responds to a question about him going to the bathroom, to which he responds, "Feels good, man." A reference that would later become
"Feels good, man." You guys remember that?
Synonymous with 4chan. Because Pepe resembled the average 4chan user. Soon enough, Pepe and his catchphrase took on a new life of their own. And by the year
You guys remember people would say all the time, "Feels good, man."
2009,
If I think a guy's hot and we click, I'll go for it and I'll land a few days. I'm gonna bang. Good shit. Feels good, man. Exactly.
Pepe the Frog gained a place on Know Your Meme. With Pepe's growing omnipresence, alternate iterations of Pepe began to prop up. There was the sad Pepe, the smug Pepe, and the angry Pepes, which further catalyzed Pepe's fame, allowing the
racist icon only saw the funny cartoons. You'll see why they said that. They explain it in this video.
Frog to spread across Reddit, Facebook, Tumblr, and eventually all social media. You see, through 4chan's binding spirits of repression, revenge, and free expression, Pepe was starting to represent more than just a meme. Pepe was instead becoming the flag for freedom of
We worship. Is that a Hitler Pepe? Bro!
Speech, radicals, conspiracy theorists, and average internet users. But to understand how Pepe went from being just an innocent meme to suddenly becoming a global expression of free speech, we first need to really understand what 4chan is in the first place. With no money, no wealth, no initial investments, 4chan was never really a business. In fact, even after running the site for 6 years, Paul was losing money with $20,000 in debt. Because 4chan was never about the money. Instead, 4chan was just a means of 15-year-old Christopher Poole connecting with fellow weebs.
So I was into anime when I was 15, for a summer.
Also that 4chan could unite students like himself to discuss
That's my loans. You gotta remember when this was, though. This was like a long time ago.
Japanese culture and anime.
Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. When did 4chan come out?
Because in this time, the people into Japanese culture were mostly isolated outcasts who couldn't express their passion to anyone.
Dude, exactly, bro. When I was growing up, anime was not cool. I did not talk about anime with people. Like, literally, I remember I had a Dragon Ball Z shirt, and I worked at school one time, and people were like making fun of me. And they're like, "What's on your shirt?" And I was like, "Bro, it's fucking Goku and Broly. Are you fucking kidding me? You don't know who this is?"
They were anxious outsiders with a lot to say, but no one to say it to. So 4chan provided the perfect.
Oh, and when I got into Death Note, it was even worse. So a lot of people can recognize Dragon Ball Z and not like judge it, but other animes, they're like, "Ew, what is this? This is weird. You fucking freak."
Outlet for outcasts across the world. And not just weebs. 4chan quickly expanded its discussions to all sorts of subjects. Video games, music, literature, fitness, politics, and sports.
Fitting this dick in your mouth.
Drawing outcasts from everywhere to this one anonymous site.
Sucker Christ.
All the people who were seen as geeky and nerdy for using the internet in 2003
What's up, Mighty? Good shit, man. Glad to have you fully here.
would all join in for discussions. This was a time before social media, iPhones, and dopamine-sucking videos. In fact, the concept of all these outsiders congregating on 4chan was revolutionary. So unsurprisingly, 4chan became the birthplace of internet culture.
It's actually super lame. You did it. Fuck off, Giraffe. I did. Bro, I had a red long sleeve Dragon Ball Z shirt. It was one of my favorite shirts. It had Goku in the front and Broly in the back. And it said like Dragon Ball Z down the sleeve. Dude, good shit, Mighty. Let's go. Fucking smoke you a blunt. Celebrate.
Many of these
Drink
early
you a
memes
beer.
on 4chan would later come to define the internet. The first of these was the 2005 lolcat, a simple meme that combined the image of a cat with some text. It's pretty bland now, but back in the early days
Bro, these memes were bangers back in the day. I had so many in this. So I have Dragon Ball Z shirts now.
of the internet, this was never seen before.
Still.
It was a defining moment
What
for
up, Bruno?
4chan. And soon enough, 4chan's memes would evolve into trolling. It was around
A little trolling.
March 2007 when GTA 4's
Remember
trailer
these?
first released. The overwhelming popularity for the game
GTA 4. I'm upset that this is one thing I missed out on. I didn't play GTA 4 during its heyday. Who did? Like I got into GTA 5, but GTA 4. To what we have now, it's crazy. It's a fucking amalgamation. I did.
caused
I don't
Rockstar's
play- I
game
still
to
have it.
crash. So a helpful 4chan user posted a YouTube link that supposedly led to the GTA trailer, but of course, this wasn't actually a link to the trailer.
Wonder what it was a link to.
It was a link to Rick Astley.
This is where the Rickroll started, chat. The Rickroll originated from 4chan.
The Rickroll was born, and this was only the beginning.
And I still get Rickrolled to this fucking day.
On July 2007, a niche song by
So I
Tay
couldn't play
Zonday was
online.
posted to 4chan. The song was called Chocolate Rain.
Oh, dude, I remember Chocolate Raid. This song goes hard. Did you play it recently for multiplayer?
Being a strange, niche, and terrible song, 4chan users collectively swarmed to increase its YouTube ranking for the memes. And as you probably already know by now, Chocolate Rain would take over the internet and seep into mainstream culture. This was one of the first examples of how 4chan users can make their memes meta.
I just remember South Park memeing him, to be honest.
Nothing takes priority
There it is, JCat.
over chocolate rain.
The voiceless outcast could now make a meme not only spread through the internet, but also through the real
Lol.
world. Like when 4chan trolled Mountain Dew. Back in the day, Mountain Dew developed a marketing campaign where customers could vote on what to call the next Mountain
Oh, fuck. Bro. Chat. This is fucked.
Dew. Now, no normal person in society with friends, community, or stable mental health
What do you think that 4chan got together to decide on? So they brigaded basically the voting for Mountain Dew. What do you guys think they came up with? Because they had enough people to win the vote. What do you think they came up with?
would even give this a second thought. But 4chan users were different. They were the underclass of outcasts who'd been estranged by society. So 4chan banded together to troll Mountain Dew, voting in the thousands and winning the vote to name Mountain Dew's drink this.
Yep, that's it. That's the new Mountain Dew, chat.
And then there were the other more extreme forms of
What?
trolling. The trolling that didn't just stop at playing harmless trolls on businesses. The trolling that would take
They actually made it. They did. That's so much worse. No, they didn't actually make the drink. That was like someone had made a wrapper and put it on there. But they did get that line to the number one voted thing.
4chan's voice to the next level.
That's so much worse. But you can see JCat from this, and I think it's really cool. You can see how like the trolling, oh, Hitler did nothing wrong. Yeah, that's kind of edgy, but not really bad. And you can just see the direction 4chan is going, where like this trolling of, oh, Hitler did nothing wrong is just a window for actual anti-Semitic people to come in and invade the website. And when they troll with other things like this, it's just a way for people who actually have these sentiments and stuff to join them and almost like be invisible amongst them and join in these trolls and make these trolls even bigger and worse and actually end up hurting people or something in some way.
This sort of trolling began when a bunch of anonymous 4chan hackers formed the group known as Anonymous. Back in the early days of 4chan, these hackers were realizing the power of 4chan. These were hackers who didn't care about making money, they cared about trolling. So 4chan anons would begin to take their anger out of the world that had made them feel like outcasts. The first incident of this mass trolling came in 2006 when a bunch of 4chan users invaded the Habbo Hotel site, where they blocked the site stating it was closed due to, quote, fail and AIDS. This trolling gave 4chan
Bro, you guys remember back in the day that was like the thing to say. It was like, oh, AIDS, that's AIDS. This is AIDS. Fail and AIDS. Good one, guys. Gee, we were
And
AIDS.
the real life spotlight they craved, with mainstream media calling these anonymous 4chan hackers as hackers on steroids, and calling 4chan a quote, internet hate machine.
They call themselves anonymous. They are hackers on steroids, treating the web like a real-life video game, sacking websites, invading MySpace accounts, disrupting innocent people's lives. And if you fight back, watch out.
But this would only further grow 4chan's appetite for
Look,
trolling.
it's Slice.
And in 2008, this trolling would be taken to the next level. So in 2008, their main target would be the freedom-stifling, power-hungry, money-grabbing organization known as the Church of Scientology. Because
Bro, fuck Scientology, bro. One day we gotta get into that. You guys want to dive into Scientology one day and learn about it?
all these 4chan users held the same convictions, supporting freedom of speech and being anti-establishment at all costs. So after the Church of Scientology's repeated copyright takedowns and censoring of content they didn't like, 4chan
You gotta free
users
Tom Cruise. Oh, Tom Cruise is gone. You can just see it in his eyes. I've already done that one.
the
Yeah.
church by DDoSing their website, sending back faxes designed to waste their ink cartridges, and rickrolling the church. 4chan anons would actually start to publish YouTube videos in a robotic anonymous voice telling the church,
The
"For good of
loophole,
your
that's
followers,
scary to
for the
get
good of
into.
mankind, and for the laughs, we shall expel you from the internet." And as you'd expect, these videos went viral. This was
He shifts the nail tooth
unprecedented.
back
People
into
around the
place.
world
That
actually
thing's a
started joining
cult.
in
Yeah,
with these
it's a cult and a scam. They scam their followers out of money. No, don't mess with them because they will actually look into your business back. I mean, I'm not worried about them looking into me. Well, I'll fucking fuck up Scientology.
4chan anons, wearing the same Guy Fawkes masks and engaging in real-life protests to represent their battle against the establishment. It was becoming clear that
It's cringe now to wear this mask, isn't it? It used to be cool back in the day, but now I see someone with this mask and like they're like a sweaty teen who's fucking their mom took away their Xbox and now they're like, yeah, it's sweaty now. It's cringy. They'll take one look at sin and run. It's so cringe. It's cringe now.
no one could escape the wrath of 4chan, where the lonely, anxious outcasts were now connected en masse, taking back
But I remember growing up, people with that profile picture scared the shit. I'm like, oh my, they're a hacker!
revenge and all of those looking down on them from above. And in particular, this formation
was
of anonymous
hot.
began to symbolize resistance against everyone looking down on
Now it's this mask with the light up eyes.
little people.
Yeah.
Which is why these 4chan hackers would troll major banks. They would take down opponents of WikiLeaks. They would even provide a helping hand in the Arab Street
Jeez.
riots. And in 2012, these 4chan hackers hacked 485 Chinese government sites in protest of the government's tyrannical treatment of their citizens.
See, like I said, 4chan isn't all bad, but the thing is, it left itself vulnerable and open for people who have really bad intentions and really bad views and ideas.
In which they would urge the world to fight for justice, fight for freedom, and fight for democracy. All of which were the key pillars that came to define 4chan. Once a site for weeb outcasts was now a site expanding the frontiers of the internet, setting the precedent for memes, trolling, and real-world accountability. These outcasts were on the front stage doing their bid to break the world from the chains of tyrannical governments and predatory money-stealing organizations from the voiceless masses. And it was this very sentiment that would bring about one of the weirdest moments in modern history.
Now, so a lot of people don't know the connection between 4chan and the riots, but I think he talks about it in here. I'm not sure. I hope he does, because I'm not super familiar on the story.
Why would anyone care enough to put all of this effort into trolling? All the time, effort, and risk.
Yeah, I
Especially
know.
when there's no money involved.
But it's kind of crazy. There are people literally out there who just sit at their home all day, and maybe it's not as intense as like a troll on 4chan. But for example, supply. Like there's just people on Twitter, and they sit at their desk all day and just type and troll people on Twitter. There's constantly, and I like to troll. I troll people. I troll all the time. But like that's not like my sole purpose in life. All they do is troll, like reply fucking fucked up shit to stuff. Like, dude, that's like their whole life is just trolling. It's like sad. It's like they don't have a personality.
Why would 4chan users do this? Well, this question's a lot more complex than it first seems. It's the question banks, corporations, and governments have been trying to figure out for years.
But I do love some good
because
trolling.
The answer to this question
A
is
little
the
bit
key
trolling.
to understanding anonymous,
We are anonymous.
political extremism, and
That's
the
their vibes.
destabilization
It's
of
creepy,
Western
bro.
society. This is a question that goes way beyond 4chan.
Exactly,
However, the
JK.
basic answer to this question might just be that 4chan users have no means of expressing their shadow self. 4chan's a means for millions to express their raw, innate thoughts.
Don't bring Neo into
It's a
this.
place where you can release your
There's that clip again, JCat. You gonna freak out?
Anger at a world that you see crushing your psyche. It's a place to take off the mask of your plastic, friendly, anxious veneer and release your repressed
I smell homo.
And so it all comes back to Pepe the Frog. By this point, Pepe the Frog was the established mascot of 4chan's political discussion board known as Poll. The discussion board Poll is a gathering spot for millennial and zoomer outcasts, the lonely and despondent, the socially incompetent generational dropouts and radicals. You'll find all shades of disaffected people here, each one bonded by disdain of the elites who had shunned them away, that made them feel worthless, moneyless and voiceless. So to 4chan users, Pepe represented the gestalt of this connecting resentment. Pepe was the perfect troll to represent the 4chan user. Pepe gave 4chan a face, something to represent this underlying resentment felt by 4chan.
Should I get a Pepe frog in my next setup?
4chan users. Because coinciding with 4chan's growth was the rise of our current economic stagnation, the massive inequalities in money and wealth, and the decaying sense of community in our globalized world. So Pepe the Frog represented this rejection of corporatized linear values. It represented the breaking of the confines of convention and conformity. So you get all these people. It represented the breaking of the confines.
Were they wearing Pepe masks at the Hong Kong riots? They are. Stop toxic tear gas. Look at all the Pepe masks. That's dope, bro. That's actually insane that Pepe, like, literally always freaked me out, to be honest. Yes, we love meme culture.
To convention and conformity. So you get all these people scattered around the world on this anonymous discussion board that is with a lot to say about the world around them. This was unironically a very powerful force, an organized goal-seeking minority against the indifferent, apathetic majority. They had a flag, a mascot, and a community, but there was one part that was missing in all of this. They needed a real-world leader to take things to the next level. And in 2015, this very thing happened.
And this is, in my personal opinion, where 4chan takes a turn.
And we are going to make our country great again.
Bruh, what happened? This place blows! This place sucks!
A real-life troll with all the money in the world had now taken the front stage of America.
Bro, Trump really was a troll, bro. Fuck him. But we really got trolled. Like Donald Trump being our president, that was just a big troll. Like, we just, you know what I'm saying? They were great to begin with, to be honest. Tish, you missed the beginning of the videos. You don't even know what I mean. You don't even know what 4chan is. The whole period was like a fever dream. Dude, 4chan was literally an anime website for like the first 4 years of its existence. I'm getting flashbacks. It's kind of crazy that this was like 4 years ago or longer. The anime my parents found out, sometimes anime into Google and pops up some big titty anime girls and that's all anime was. A lot of people do. A lot of people think like anime is like inherently always sexual.
A billionaire troll insulting all the other corporate lying politicians to their faces. No one could have expected that a leading presidential candidate would be saying things like this.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs,
based,
dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account
only Rosie O'Donnell.
Bro, do you remember Donald Trump had a Twitter account, bro? He would always be wilding on Twitter. I was like, damn, bro. Like, literally, like, how's our president always on Twitter?
He referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee.
Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah, Donald Trump had like a personal beef with Rosie O'Donnell.
Okay.
And then I see Rick Perry the other day, and he's so, he's doing very poorly in the polls. He put glasses on so people will think he's smart.
Thank God he was banned.
And it just doesn't work. People can see through the glasses.
Have you guys ever been on Donald Trump's app, the Truth app? Or Freeze? Have you guys ever looked at it? Or Freeze, sort of.
4chan ethos had been brought to life. Trump broke down the corporatized core veneers of these power-hungry socialists.
No. It's like sad. Like, going on there is sad. Like I'm all for I'm a big fan of free speech and things like that. I think Donald Trump was banned for a good reason. I don't think he should have been banned until the January 6th stuff, personally. But this is stressing to say the least. Now, I don't think Trump fans are unredeemable. There are some things about Trump that I do understand why people like him, and we're happy that he got elected or whatever. But here's the thing: is Donald Trump will never be like a well-rounded president or politician because he's unwilling to like shun certain groups of people. Like he dog whistles way too much. Worship Trump, it's terrifying. Yeah, and Trump does have a cult following. It's fucking creepy. Like Donald Trump could have been a decent president. Yeah, he would have been an asshole. Yeah, he would have said some stupid shit and done some fucked up shit. But I think the biggest things he refused to do, which will forever taint his legacy, was he would just not back down. Like what this guy said, he would not stop with the trolling. Like, do I think, like, is Donald Trump, like, himself racist? I don't know. I don't think so. Like, maybe. But the thing is, he didn't speak out again. Like, he did, but he didn't. He wouldn't condemn all these actions of people who looked up to him. It's like yes, he never straight up said to like these like Proud Boys like, oh, do this, do that. But they were doing things in the name of Trump, and he never fucking addressed it, not once. And that's what ruined him. And that's what ruined any kind of redeemability, in my opinion, that Trump had. Like, I think Trump could have had some redeeming qualities and could have done some decent things for the country, just like any other president. But he just destroyed any chance he had. This has no filter. People conflate him with being honest or intelligent when it's not true. I don't think he's intelligent. Now, I think Trump was a funny president. Like, there's like compilations you watch, like funny Trump compilations, and he would just say the most random, funny, stupid shit. The first time I didn't vote for him. The second time, like. Donald Trump was his own reason why he lost the second election. Like he lost it himself. Like I don't know why, but that's a conversation for another day.
He represented all the boiled up repression, the outcasting, and the anger of the average 4chan poll user. And the Trump campaign knew this all too well, with Trump always retweeting Pepe memes.
We will make America great.
If he was still alive, then Trump. Nixon was based. He should have lost the first time too. Nah, I don't know. See, that's the thing. I'm a huge Hillary Clinton hater. So in retrospect now, maybe, but at the moment, I did not want Hillary Clinton to win. So like now, like after Trump did those things over the 4 years, like looking back, that might make sense, bro. But Hillary Clinton is fucking evil, bro. The Clinton family is evil. You can't convince me they're not. Like they're insane ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Like they have way more ties to Jeffrey Epstein than Trump did. That's the crazy thing is it not crazy that both like past president, well, two past presidents now, and fucking Hillary Clinton all had ties to Jeffrey Epstein? Isn't that weird? It's because he lost the popular vote. It's better to have the devil you know than the devil you don't know. Like I said, we would never know what Hillary Clinton would have done. It could have been evil. The American people wanted her by majority. Bro, I did not want Hillary Clinton. Fuck Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton would have... They both were bad, I guess, is what you could say. Like, it's like, pick your poison.
Again.
These 4chan memes continue to proliferate.
Hill dog sipping iced tea since 1947. Old Hill dog.
On Trump's path to office. It was all in response to the corporate elite's disregard for the outcast, the nonconformists, and the autists. This was perfectly summed up with Hillary Clinton's blatant disdain of Trump supporters, which further grew the Pepe meme in response.
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
So as
Christ, she was born in 47? Damn, don't roast her.
As you'd expect, this brought a wave of negative media coverage towards Pepe and 4chan. And so soon enough, the Pepe frog turned into a symbol of hate, where it was claimed that radical components
it's Hillary and chilling in Cedar Rapids.
Opponents of 4chan had began to appropriate the meme for their own agenda. But in reality, this appropriation was only magnified to further ostracize 4chan users and what they represented.
Oh, who is this 4chan?
With
Who is 4chan? Hi, I'm 4chan. Pepe became a symbol of hatred.
Clinton's campaign even going so far as to describe Pepe as a symbol of radical hate. All of this
She would have wanted to see dab more. Exactly, if she played more Pokemon Go and dab more.
Criticized Trump's use of the meme. And then the ADL jumped on board, and suddenly Pepe was the apogee of the culture war. But all of this media criticism couldn't stop Pepe and its true meaning. Because
I need a Pepe
didn't
mask.
just represent Trump supporters or the radical right as the media makes out. Pepe is simply a meme.
It's a
meme representing 4chan's true core, a core of free speech. I already know that some of you will think this is outrageous,
no, you don't.
Considering all the terrible things that have come as a result of 4chan with all its incels and radicals, but I'm going to explain to you why no matter your political...
So you guys think of 4chan, you think of what it is today. And yes, do they have moderation now? Yes. but they are still very free speech. That's why there's so many radical people on there. And here's something I realized about 4chan. There are radical people on every side. There's different forums. There's different sections. Now are some a lot more popular than others, way more populated, and there's majorities, minorities, yeah. But like, what do you guys think about that? Like a site that's just free speech. Like you can put the most wild opinion on there. You want to go to the polls? No, you don't. Now they have regulated here, like they moderated some now because they were in trouble being shut down. So that's cool. But they're still like the most. I'd say 4chan, a couple other websites still have some of the most outrageous takes that would never be able to be expressed on Twitter or anything like that. The dark web. The dark web isn't really what a lot of people think. I'll talk about the dark web another day. But I've actually been on the dark web, and I've been on it quite a bit. And it is dangerous, and there are some pretty sketchy fucking shit on there, and you can get into some trouble. But for the most part, the dark web's kind of like smoke and mirrors.
Affiliations. Pepe and 4chan are a necessary function of society. 4chan is the last bastion of free speech. There is no other site or forum with such wide appeal and yet little to no moderation. It's the only site that doesn't care about the money from advertisements. And that's what makes it so hated by almost all of the establishment.
Yeah, 4chan does no advertising. There's no branding. There's no anything.
People like to think that 4chan's only a place for radicals.
I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. See, I think that it's good, personally. Because the thing is, those people will congregate and stuff like that. Leave him alone. I'll have to DM him.
Losers. But even if this is the case, that's exactly why we need.
Yo, bro, leave. Like, come on, bro. Like, you have to pay Rami some like royalties at this point.
Because nowhere else would you get to see these views, which is.
So I'm saying, so nowhere else would you see these views, and I think that's important. I think it's important that that views, no matter how extreme, because like in our society, there's been a lot of views that were seen as extreme that are now common and commonplace. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, like in America, interracial marriage, like that was seen as fucking insane. Like, bro, like, you know, years ago, but now like it's normal. I mean, it was not insane, but like that's just some certain things don't deserve the light of day. I agree with that, but then I don't. Like it's so hard. Like it's like a double-edged sword. It's because like you're like, yeah, you're a fucking idiot, and this is a degenerate way to think. But then again, it's like you gotta take away, like, I don't know. I think you should let people be fucking stupid, and people fall for stupid, then they're stupid. But there are some pretty like like nowadays people take the internet so seriously. I think some ideas, thoughts, and takes could be dangerous because when people read them, they could feel emboldened to do something.
Incredibly important to having a healthy society. As Christopher Hitchens
Who's stupid?
Said, if someone's voice is silenced, then I am deprived of their right to hear. Moreover, I have never met nor heard of anybody I would trust with the job of deciding in advance what it might be permissible for me or anyone else to say or read.
Yeah, so that's 4chan's thing. So they don't think that like there's anyone that they could put to really moderate what you could or couldn't read, like, because everyone's biased to a certain extent. You know, everyone's biased on everything. What's up, Tish? Cloud? I don't know where Cloud is.
The freedom of expression consists of being able to tell people what they might not wish to hear, and that it must extend above all to those who think differently is, to me, self-evident. Of all the things I have ever written, the one that has gotten me the most unwelcome attention from the people I respect is a series of essays defending the right of Westernized to publish their views. I did this because I think a right is a right, and also because if this right is denied to one faction, it will not stop there. And this perfectly describes why 4chan is so necessary, because to hear extreme and radical views is a part of learning how to think. And our biggest...
I do think hearing some radical views is good for you. I really do. I think it makes you think, it makes you respect your views, makes you ground your morals, and there's certain aspects and parts of radical views that could be helpful.
Challenge in society is that millions have been taught what to think and not how to think. We live in a world...
Exactly. What to think and not how to think, and they never question it.
Where far too many things have been taken on trust, and people get away with far too much, and this is only continuing exponentially. Whilst at the same time we see the people in power, we see our society increasingly devalue the necessity of free speech. Where claims of offense, insult, and hate used to shut down freedom of speech, our culture is collectively forgetting that freedom of speech is a freedom. which, like all freedoms, comes with responsibilities. We forget that the freedom to say certain things doesn't mean you should say them. We forget that freedom of speech needs to be untrammeled. People need to express their shadow side. They need to express dark views to the world, because only then can they escape their idiosyncratic dogmas by facing real-world criticism.
So yeah, that's what I was saying. So when you put these messages and these radical ideas out into the world, they can be challenged and broken apart and tore apart, and all the flaws exposed to them. So it's another thing, because like, for example, if I was having a one-on-one conversation with one of you guys, or you guys have a one-on-one conversation with me, and there was something that you were curious about, and it doesn't have to be me, I'm just saying, for example, it could be anyone, and there's something you're curious about, and you asked me about it, and I seemed like an expert, or I just knew a lot of information on that subject, and you knew nothing really about it, but you were interested, and I told you that, and I had a very radicalized view that could radicalize you. But if that view is posted online, then there's going to be counterpoints and arguments and all that stuff going against it.
But you'll be smacked.
But I'm not saying bad things, Automod. See, this is the world you want, JCat. This is the world you want of moderation, getting banned, not being able to say what you want, no free speech. What if I'm curious about men? I know you're not curious. I know you know all about them.
Smacked with social consequences for saying things that are stupid and harmful. But more importantly, if you don't use your free speech, you eventually lose your free speech. Without free speech, there isn't...
There he is again! It's a different scene. Is that okay, JCat?
True thought. And no, this isn't just some right-wing platitude. As the infamous socialist Rosa Luxemburg once claimed, the freedom of speech is meaningless unless it means the freedom of the person who thinks differently. We always...
Exactly. I fucking like that quote. I don't know what to say. Like, you don't want to lose your ability to think differently. So many people get in an echo chamber and they just refuse. They refuse to think differently. They just fucking refuse. Saying people don't deserve to live, or you think certain people shouldn't have rights, then fuck you. Yeah, exactly. You can say fuck you, but the thing is, you have to do that. You have to say fuck you. You know what I mean? Because like the thing is, I don't know. It's just we have to take it for what it is. The thing is, if we limit things, where do we stop at what gets limited, and who decides what gets limited? And then we give the power over. We give our freedom of speech over for someone to decide the limits, to decide what can be said and can't be said. And can you trust that person? Is that person non-biased? It's impossible to do. So the only way we can do it, the best way we can do it, is have free speech, and then use counterpoints and counter rhetoric and shit to fucking fight those points and fight those ideals and ideas. I see people like that deserve platforms. Like I said, it's a slippery slope. It really is. Now like Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, like here's one thing people forget. So I've been seeing a lot of shit about Andrew Tate getting banned, or Sneeko just got banned on Twitter, and people like, oh, it's the government taking away our free speech and free rights, our rights. First of all, that's not fucking true. You sound like an idiot. You're not losing your free speech. You're losing a fucking social media app. Go outside and touch goddamn grass. All right, social media's not that serious. And second of all, social medias are companies, privately owned companies, and they are out to make money. And if you are a problem on their platform and you're spreading things that scare advertisers, they're going to kick you off their platform, because that's a smart fucking business move. It's not because, oh, we care about free speech. They don't give a fuck about speech. They don't care what the fuck you say. They care about making money. And that's all it has to do with. And people like who say stuff like that aren't advertiser friendly. So you get kicked off the platform. It's as simple as that. I don't think these corporations are huge, people of morality, because if so, there'd be like, why wouldn't they get rid of all the harmful stuff? Even the government does it to some regard. I mean, censorship is a thing. Even though we live in America, one of the most freest countries in the world, we still have censorship. What's up, Dada? We still have censorship. Websites 100%. Like the fucking Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, they censor everything. Everything is censored and changed and altered in some way. Nothing is just given to you raw and real.
always forget that freedom of speech,
at least on the internet and on these social media apps.
is one of the key Enlightenment values that made the West so great, which is why 4chan is unironically just an extension of these long-held Enlightenment values. 4chan is an antibody to a diseased, parasitic culture that seeks to reduce society to one huge vat of grey sludge, serving as one of the last platforms for free expression away from the control of governments, powerful interest groups, religions, and businesses. And in a way, these are the very same values.
And that's true. I do see that a lot of websites, like there's just some ideas that you just can't fucking have. Like you just can't have that idea. And you guys say, oh, well, they deserve that. And I get that. And maybe you're right. You could be 100% right. You probably are 100% right. But what's to say one day you have an idea that might not be wrong, but you get silenced because of it. Because it's up to the person above you who decides what you can and can't say. Critical readers research from multiple sources, especially news, even looking at news from other countries can help. And just looking around you, a lot of people forgot, like, you can observe by your surroundings, by society, by going outside, by being around in the world, having experiences, you know, like you can learn a lot just from that.
That also made the internet so great. Pepe the Frog is a symbol of free expression no matter the expression used. This just couldn't be better summed up with Pepe being used in Hong Kong.
Like literally, the Hong Kong riots, Pepe was the mascot.
Hong Kong's final march against the tyrannical tentacles of the Chinese Communist Party. In the 2019 Hong Kong protests, Pepe was used as a symbol of free speech, a symbol of liberty and resistance against the dystopian tyranny of the Chinese government.
I don't think that would ever map us. I'm not advocating for violence against marginalized people like many of these people who are silenced are. It has. What do you mean you think it would ever happen? It has happened. There have been plenty of people who have been censored. What are you talking about? Trans people in the early 2010s were extremely censored on the internet, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, because it wasn't the popular opinion at the time. Trans content was extremely censored back in the day. That's farthest thing. A lot of and when people needed it, people needed the resources. A lot of people didn't know what to do. People were depressed and going through all these things, and they couldn't find the content. They couldn't find the resources. There's been plenty of marginalized people who were not originally should have been marginalized. That's not even true. Not even close. There have been plenty of marginalized people who've been silenced on the internet, especially, who shouldn't have been. It happens daily.
Proving that Pepe
tons of religious groups.
The Frog could be reclaimed and repurposed despite the establishment's campaign to associate.
China censors all their internet, anything that the public receives. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of China. You right? Yeah, LCP.
Pepe the Frog doesn't mean the Hong Kong protesters are radical right-wingers, even despite what the soulless journalists try and make out. Because opposing a communist regime that crushes all dissent and imposes an Orwellian social credit scorn as populist doesn't make you a right-winger. Instead, this was a nation's youth fighting for their...
You Native Americans in America the longest time too. We could even go back before social media and say actual marginalized groups like that, like Native Americans, or in the atrocities that were happening to them. China's wild, yeah. Like they were silenced. They didn't get to put out their stories and everything. Like a lot of people didn't know the true story of the Native Americans for the longest time in America.
Country's future, going up against one of the most fearsome military regimes on the
planet. But that's a little different from the internet, so.
Planet.
Anyone who dares to try to do that will have their heads bashed blooded against the Great Wall of Steel.
Yeah, like you can't think China's good. Like we can't do anything about China because they literally the world relies on China at this point. Russia's getting much worse with censorship too. I would say China's one of the worst places in the world as far as censorship, but most countries have pretty hard censorship. Like even Canada has pretty bad censorship. In some cases they did and just didn't care. Yeah, true.
The people waving the Pepe the Frog flag were risking everything. Incarceration, torture, and a nightmare future trapped in China's social credit score system.
The state will go over every detail of a person's life with a fine-tooth comb.
And in the
So China, you don't realize they have a social score system. So if you don't have a high enough social score, when you go into a restaurant, it will reject you from going in there because you're not worthy to go in the same restaurant as people in a higher social class. Like bro, China's fucked. Like if you're a higher up in China, you're good, but anyone that's not a higher up, you're living a terrible life. No, they did. JCat, we actually watched a video on that one day, where I believe it was Woodrow Wilson rewrote rewrote and wrote into I don't know if it was a law or a bill, where they made it a curriculum to spread around this certain history book, and he basically just made it to seem like, America was almost the good guy in every situation. So there are a lot of situations we grew up thinking now that we were the good ones in that situation, or we were made to look better than what we were, or we didn't lose as bad, or whatever it is, just to make us look better. That was changed. That was literally changed, and we have proof of it. And people still have not gone through the trouble of trying to reverse a lot of those changes or explain or make up for them. And so these people have gone their whole lives thinking this, telling other people, word of mouth, blah blah blah, and they just think about it forever. What India does as well. Didn't India ban TikTok? I'm pretty sure the Indian government banned TikTok because they were afraid China was gonna steal all their information and crash their economy.
Also find Pepe, because
that's upsetting.
Currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum represent a liberation from a corrupt financial system, a liberation from monopolized mega banks and their preying political interests. There is a common thread throughout 4chan's past and present that connects us to the world we see today. It's a thread that explains this one strange moment in history, and it's also a thread that explains why we've never needed.
When I learned about Native Americans, the travelers asked them to leave and they did, and I was like, they were massacred. Yeah, like exactly. History is written by the victors, and that's why true history, will we ever know the true history of things? Certain things probably. I think now, going forward, in 100 years from now, history will be way more accurate because of the recordings, the videos, the internet, the cell phones. But back in the day, bro, how do we know what really happened? You know what I mean?
4chan.
Because it was all written down by the winners of the battlefield, or whatever it was.
Today.
And they're not going to put, we murdered helpless women and children. They had no chance. We surprised them. And we stole their land. We stole their... no one's going to... they're not going to admit to that.
But before we get onto that, I want to tell you about today's sponsor. Modern portfolio theory suggests that one's overall portfolio risk can be reduced itself isn't all that powerful. 4chan in the description below. Now back to the video.
Some of them did.
4chan itself isn't all that powerful. 4chan isn't YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram.
Sadistic motherfuckers. Well, the majority of American history is we won all these great wars on we were on the heroic conquest of America, you know what I'm saying?
Or even Reddit. 4chan is just a simple image board with a simple design. There's really not much more to it. 4chan hardly makes any money. In fact, according to Business Insider, 4chan is only worth $45,000. And yet the innocuous design, the limited revenue, the limited control makes 4chan the most essential social media platform. Because unlike other social media sites, there is no financial gain to lose by allowing free speech on the site. Instead of being plagued by corrupt Reddit mods, censoring administrators and media bribery, 4chan is the world's greatest experiment in free speech.
I could say I could agree with that. It's the greatest experiment in free speech. Having a board where you can post literally anything. Now, they did moderate and censor a lot of it now. It's not as crazy as it used to be. It's still fucking insane.
And with this history of outcast trolls and voiceless people all coming together on this free speech hub, strange things are always bound to happen. But it's only when you understand 4chan's history and the use of 4chan can you start to understand one of the weirdest moments in history. Now, I'm not going to go into the theories behind this movement, as I'm sure you already know by now. I'm also sure that any mention of this theory could get this video removed in a very short amount of time. But it doesn't matter, because the theory isn't the point. The point is, this moment happened for the very same reason Occupy Wall Street, the Arab Spring riots, and the Hong Kong protests happened. Now, of course, not all of them are equal in their justification. In fact, a lot of the trolling and outrage stemming from 4chan is incredibly toxic, because by now we all know the horrors that stem from the 4chan world. But these things have no relation to the core pillars of 4chan, the pillars of free speech and freedom of thought. It's the twisted humans that use 4chan that are the problem.
Exactly.
Not the principles that 4chan stands on. It's
not the principles of free speech. It's not the principles of being able to say whatever and having all these ideas. It's the people. It's the sick, deranged people. The idea of free speech is good. Now there'll always be sick and deranged people, but right now there's more than ever. There's more sick and deranged people than ever, because like I said, we just have a fucking crisis in the world. All over the fucking world, there's a crisis. It's just insanity, basically. To be general about it, not to go too deep.
And again, free speech isn't the problem, people are the problem. 4chan's where great things and terrible, terrible things happen. But in the end, 4chan is the last place for free speech. And that in its own right makes it one of the most important sites on the internet. Because we're now living in a world where an entire generation of millennials and zoomers have been frozen into a state of conformity. We live in a time where advertisers and businesses are pulling out all of their money from 4chan for fear of being cancelled. We live in a time where 4chan is scrutinized by the parasitic mob for allowing the expression of all ideas. 4chan is losing all of its investors, 4chan is losing all of its money, and the free speech spirit that 4chan fostered across the internet continues to dissolve at an ever-increasing rate. And sadly, 4chan's decline isn't an anomaly either. 4chan's decline represents our societal shift into becoming an ever-increasingly homogenized world, where all opinions that don't fit into the mainstream narrative are eroded by force.
And it's so weird. It's so weird that we all believe the same thing when that's never what humans were, never what we were supposed to do. We're not all supposed to believe the same thing. Now, should we all have good morals that are you know, like based around the same things? Yeah, but like no one should think the same way.
Where the Enlightenment value.
No one should be in an echo chamber. Like nowadays, like, and this might be actually that's way too out of a subject to touch. Homogenized, where you don't think our society's homogenized?
Values that made 4chan as powerful as it is today are now just a relic of a bygone era, where the establishment continues looking down upon a growing underclass, where our leaders can no longer contain their tyrannical glee, where contrived self-righteousness and passive aggressiveness has come to define modern rhetoric. In this time, this
no, not at all.
Time, we need freedom of thought to prevent.
So if you guys chat, if you don't know what homogenized is, and I'll ask this all chat, do you guys think as a society, if you don't have the popular opinion, you don't get canceled, or you don't like for example, like if you want to become famous on social media, the most famous people all have the same opinion, they all make the same takes. Like everyone's pushed to a certain narrative, are they not? Like, do we all have the same, like, are we not like all pushed to a mainstream narrative? And people who don't fit in that mainstream narrative are you know, they don't grow as much, they don't have as much success or whatever. I think our society is extremely homogenized, and that's why driving everyone crazy, because everyone's pushed in this herd to go the same way, and it's making people go crazy. I think it is too overall. I think it's one of the biggest problems. There's not enough diversity anymore in thought.
Now more than ever. 4chan, with all its flaws, with all the people who...
I could go on for days. Yeah, and look at all those people. They're extremely scrutinized. They're extremely hated. Because like for example, if you guys did not hate Andrew, and I'm not protecting Andrew Tate, I'm not defending him, but he's the least controversial out of all these people that you mentioned. If you guys did not hate Andrew Tate, would he be famous? No. If the hate for his opinions were not there, you would not become famous. That's how homogenized we are. That's the definition. Because people want different. They want to feel something different because everything is so homogenized.
Who use their free expression to cause serious harm, where free expression has created theories that have embarrassed the most powerful nation, we need to look at the bigger picture on why the issues that come from free expression are just part of the price of freedom. We need to take a look at
I feel like I'm an alien. You look like one.
The bigger picture on why these events happen,
I'm kidding.
Why there is an ever-growing underclass of people who have been betrayed by their governments, on why the issues that come from free expression are just a part of the price of freedom. 4chan is about more than memes, trolling and posting. It's about the enlightenment values that are essential to all of our development, that teach us how to think and filter out junk information and expand our scope of perception. I know what I'm saying will enrage some of you. I know what I'm saying isn't popular, but so what?
It isn't popular. It'll never be popular to think extreme opinions are okay. I think it's really hard, but the thing is, like, without being faced with extreme opinions, how can you test your own morals? Severe mental breakdown, people realize famous people, because, well, the thing is, Britney Spears is not your common person. It's not your average person. Like yeah, like I guess you could, like, I guess we're talking about celebrities, but I'm just saying in general. Like, for example, if most people on TikTok are gonna be I'm trying to touch any like sensitive topics, because like then we're gonna get into topics of morality of the situation. You're like, oh well, you know, this is the right way, and it's like, well, yeah, I understand that, but if you don't think this way, you'll be scrutinized, you'll be looked down upon. It's not even just celebrities, it's human beings. Like look at schools. You see it as soon as you get into high school, as soon as you get into middle school, as soon as you get in elementary school. Cliques. You gotta fit in, you gotta act the same way, you gotta like the same things. I think it's natural for humans to try to do that, to like want to all be on the same page.
free
like there's been so many tests where like they'll go down a line and they'll have a test of 10 people, for example. There'll be 10 people and 9 of those people are in on it, and only one person isn't. And but now one person thinks everyone there has no idea, and they'll ask him a question. They'll say, "What is 5 plus 5?" for example, right? And everyone in that line will say 11. And this I'm not wording it right. I'm just saying for example, so you understand what I'm saying the study. And everyone said 11, and it gets the last person, and they're like, "What's 5 plus 5?" And they like I don't remember the odds are I don't remember what the exact shit was, but it was like a majority of the time they would say 11 too, just to fit in, just so that people didn't think differently of them. That is very much the case. The whole Locks debate.
Speech is never popular, and neither is 4chan, but both of them are of paramount importance, because for the first time in a long time, we should be deeply
I've seen that
afraid
experiment.
for the future of freedom across the globe.
Like I think a lot of celebrities don't care about a lot of these social issues, or they're just gonna get virtue points, or that's what's gonna get them likes, or get them favorites, or get them that. Like they just want to have the same ideas for whatever reason. Everyone thinks the same. No, they don't think the same. That's why they're going crazy. That's why they lose it. That's why they're fake. It's shallow. But everyone's forced in the same area. And I don't think everyone thinks the same. I think people are pushed to think the same. And there's a popular narrative, and if you go against that popular narrative, you're more attacked. You're more likely to be attacked, silenced, and things like that, which I don't think is good. Because, like I said, if we silence people, then who gets to decide who silences people? We gonna let the president decide? Are we gonna like trust him, or who we gonna trust with it? We can't trust anyone. You can't even trust yourself.